Are DSOs out to get us all, destroy dentistry like Skeletor from my childhood? Or are they helpful like He-Man, solving problems? I'm so excited to be talking with my friend, amazing resource, Emmett Scott, author of DSO Secrets. He's going to share about his new book, his role in the DSO. But I want to share first, Emmett, I love meeting you face to face, not just on Facebook at your amazing DEO meeting. It was fantastic. You guys ran a flawless meeting. I just want to thank you for having me. And
you were a hit, my friend. I mean, we had almost 800 people there live and virtual and so forth. So you did great.
Well, one thing that happened after that I want to share with you, because I know you put so much effort into doing it, and I put a lot of effort into my speaking. Someone found my number online, watching in virtually, and left me a voicemail that said, I just want to call and say that I just loved your presentation. I love what you stand for. And it's just those small things like that that really matter so much, because that's the impact I'm trying to make. And I know you're trying to make with doing those things.
Well, I'm excited about this book because there's so much with dental nachos, and I'll just hold this up. Yeah. You just have to go on Amazon, type in DSO Secrets. And, it's the #1 book on DSOs. So,
and you have a special,
it's the only book on DSOs, but it's the #1 book. So
you have a special going on for the first 2 days or something like that on it, right?
Yeah, that's right. I've got a 99-cent Kindle. So, I mean, let's talk about dentist pricing here. We got it 99 cents.
Dentist cheap. That's a special level of cheap like that. So I love all the stuff you share, but let's start with this. Why did you write this book? What motivated you to write a book called DSO Secrets?
I got into this space because Dr. Evans and I have been best friends since we were 2 years old. He reached out because he wanted to start a practice. It was amazingly successful. We focused on pediatric. We built it like a storybook. The kids got gold coins along the way. Awesome. He has 7 kids. I have 6 kids. Like, we know what they want. They wanted Chuck E. Cheese. We crowned them at the end for their bravery in dentistry. There was a chipmunk running around. We had 1,000 first visits in the first 3 weeks. All right. That's awesome. We had a lot going on. We built a second location, a third. I didn't know what a DSO was. I did know what it meant to help my friend out. Right. And then eventually I started hearing about this evil DSO. And then I'm like, Chad, what's going on? Are we doing something wrong, et cetera? And I realized that it was all about mindset. It was all about, what do you think of as supporting a clinician? And I think at the heart of it, dental support organization, if I just break that down, supporting dentists, nothing evil there, right? So what I decided to do is I started a podcast called DSO Secrets. And really it was just, Paul, I was just going to share everything I was doing and get a census of am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something right? And
I like that. Now, Emmett, let me just interject.
A lot of entrepreneurs who wanted help with this.
I tell my wife, I don't interrupt. I just interject. And tell us, you're a non-dentist, right? I just want to create clarity. You are, and Dr. Chad Evans is a dentist. You're a non-dentist. I have been part of Transitions Broker, and I've seen this duo before, right? I've seen from small, large, medium-sized groups, someone who's a dentist and clinician collaborating with someone who's a non-dentist. Just if we can just get to a fundamental topic. What is that value when you have someone focused on clinical and someone who doesn't do clinical? Maybe some dentists think there would be a conflict there. Show us where that collaboration helps.
I'll give you 2 perspectives, my perspective and Chad's perspective. Chad's perspective is, while I was going through dental school, doing all of this anatomy work, learning all these things, some poor sucker was over here learning marketing. Another guy had to learn IT. Another guy had to learn finance. I don't want to learn any of that stuff. The laziest way, fastest way is just to hire those people to help support me. That's how he thinks about it. The way I think about it is, a dental support organization has to live within a clinical vision. I think where most people get concerned is if the DSO vision is bigger than the clinical vision. So what I would tell every business person out there who's going to partner with a friend or help a clinician, make sure they're clear on their vision and then stay within inside that. That's what support means, right?
One of the things I said from my checklist for success was, the key to success in life is me. And my wife rolls my eyes when I say that, but it's not me. It's managing expectations. And that's such a big part of any relationship when you get into it. So I think that's a key point. If you're here watching live, you can ask questions in the chat. I'm talking with Emmett Scott, author of DSO Secrets. You can find it on Amazon. Are DSOs evil like Skeletor? Are they helpful like He-Man? Are they both? Now, one of the things we talk about, Emmett, is there's great private practices. There's not so great private practices. There's good DSOs. There's not so good. There's good restaurants. There's not so good restaurants. I mean, I'm in Philadelphia, Shake Shack. Danny Myers, I think, is an awesome leader, right? Danny Meyer with Shake Shack. There's also ones that do fast casual food that don't seem so good. What are some of the components of what you would call a good DSO? You talk about having.
Well, let me say, there's a chapter dedicated to this that says, awesome. Don't build an evil DSO. Yeah. And it's not that hard, right? To not build an evil one. I call evil DSOs DCOs, dental control organizations, because let's be honest, a dental support organization, if you're really living to those terms, I don't know that you can be evil, right? It's like, man, you're supporting me way too much. You're helping me way too much live my vision and dreams and giving me free time. And you're giving me too much autonomy here. It can't happen. So it means you're building something else. And again, I think if I just made it really simple, if we were working together, Paul, and I said, what do you want to accomplish? And you said X, Y, and Z. And I said, great, let me take these parts. You drive the clinical vision, the end, right? It's
right. I like that.
Simple.
I mean, basically, our patient interactions in dental school is pretty negative. What's your chief complaint? I walk into operatories and say, what can I do to make you happier? I walk into my doctor office. So it's basically someone saying to a clinician, what can we do to make you happier? Do you need help? I'm going to interrupt for a short commercial break. I'm the only one here. You can text HIRE to 215-543-6454 if you're looking to hire an associate to help you, whether you're DSO with 50 locations or just starting out. Glad to help you with Dentist Job Connect. So I like that, Evan. Evan, tell me now, you said don't create an evil DSO. What does an evil DSO look like? I'll use an example from my Job Connect world. An evil practice owner, whether it's intentional or unintentionally, would have unrealistic expectations of the associate. You need to do a molar root canal in 30 minutes. You need to do a crown prep, impression, and finish in 20 minutes. These would be unrealistic expectations of often any dentist, but especially a new dentist coming out of school. So using that example, whether it's intentional or unintentional evil, what are some components of a not good DSO, or what would someone look out for?
I'm going to blow your mind maybe a little bit here. An evil DSO only survives if it's actually ran by a clinician. And the reason is because business people don't know enough to actually say what you just said.
Right. Yes.
Number two is you just have to quit and leave them, and then they're done, right? They can't actually be in the space without having clinicians. So, my mom has a saying, like, if you don't want to be walked on, then stand up. Yeah. Like, as soon as clinicians realize how much power they have. So the only time you actually see that interaction survive is a clinician owner who doesn't realize that they're supposed to be a supporting leader. Yeah. And they start being more of an aggressive clinician dictator, right? So that's the fascinating part, is you really have to say, what's the culture I want to be around? And then make that. And any kind of like business person who tries to do what you said, I mean, they're out of the marketplace.
I mean, I like that, because like probably the clinicians telling you guys about EBITDA and P&Ls will mess things up. And the business people talking about, you should be doing more scaling and route planning to pick out a cliche topic, but really everyone should be open to doing better. So as a practice owner, I'm open to doing better. We just added clear aligners to our office for the first time in the history of our practice. I'm open to adding new services. So I think mental flexibility is key. I often use this, go ahead.
Let me give you a great example there too. Let's say that some CFO, right? This is the common example. Some CFO comes in and says, hey, I want you guys to do clear aligners. And, we're buying all this equipment we're putting in the office. How do dentists kind of reject that? Well, they just don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the He-Man thing.
Easy as that to keep.
What I think is funny, and at the DEO, I think one of the initial speakers, the football guys, I like them. They were saying, there's the job in the dental office has to be done by the dentist. So like He-Man, they have the power by just not doing it. Totally. A business guy cannot run in and start putting brackets on teeth. It's illegal, and they wouldn't want to do it. I always use this as this blue pen, black pen example. When I talk to a practice owner, people say, Paul, why do you sell practices at DSOs? I say, I sell practices to help the dentist who's selling the practice. Recently, we had one in the middle of Pennsylvania. We showed it to 5 private buyers. They declined it, and a DSO bought it. To me, my job is to help that dentist, whatever that looks like. But they'll say, Paul, are they going to make me use different colored pens when I'm, buy? I say, they don't want to get involved in it at all. I think it's like the NFL quarterback. Keep doing what you're doing to make successful. Sometimes please don't retire, right? Because they know they have to replace you. So would you say it's a myth that DSOs look to really change too much of the practice owner's life?
Right, exactly. So just think about this from an investment perspective. If you were making an investment into Tesla, are you doing that because you're saying, oh man, Elon Musk is really screwing this up? The way I'm going to change things is I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to go in and operate it and change it. Or do you say, wow, I love what they're doing. I hope I can be supportive. But if I don't want to mess up any secret sauce here, right? Like no one's interested in getting into some kind of turnaround situation. And those are kind of the principles that I lay out here in the book.
Yeah, I want to pause again. So you can go on Amazon and get your book, DSO Secrets. Who should read this book? If someone said, we're going to go through some lightning round questions from some awesome people here in a minute. But if someone's watching in just at this moment and said, this is Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, talking with Emmett Scott, author of DSO Secrets, who should read this book?
Okay, are you going to hire an associate? Get this book, right? Now, here's one of the arguments I make early on. If you've hired an associate, you're already a DSO, because no associate, you hire him and say, hey, I'm really glad, Dr. Smith, you're here. I'm excited for you to take on my HR situations I have. I've got some IT issues. I'm not sure where to put that router. If you could go solve that. By the way, my accountant's such a pain to work with, right? Yeah. The truth is they just want to be a clinician. They want a certain level of autonomy. They want a certain level of mentoring. They want CE credits, those kind of support items. That's what they're looking. That sounds like a DSO to me, right? Yeah. So if you don't have that mindset, I think you have a hard time keeping associates. If you don't have a dental support organization mindset, if you're not structuring things, say, we just got Dr. Smith in, what are we going to do? Here's the real secret. If you do DSOs right, the clinician has more autonomy because they're not worrying about that stuff. All they're worrying about is clinical stuff. I think you just called, less distractions. I've read this isn't my thing. I know you're a big reader like me, diluted effort, diluted results, right? So less distractions. I use the example of you want your associate to be the aunt or uncle to practice. What this means is when my aunt and uncle come over to watch my kids, they're dressed, they're ready, they got their stuff. I say, take them out of the house for the day so I can do all this other stuff. But if my aunt and uncle came over and said, hey, I would like you to get them dressed and do this stuff, that's not the deal they wanted. So I think this parallel of focus on clinical, focus on patient relationships so we can remove some of these distractions. So there's a chapter in here called ACE Clinicians. You're going to like this one, Paul, because this is like dental nachos, everything that you promote. So ACE Clinicians, available. How available are you emotionally for your time? Are you the guy that's like open from 9 to 4 every day, and you're going, man, I don't know why patients, aren't coming in. Yeah. So availability, capability, like how much are you learning? Patients do not want to get referred out for everything. Do you know what they tell their friends? They say, yeah, great guy. He just can't do any of the work I need. Right. So how are you expanding your capability?
Patients lose momentum quickly. We have multiple specialists that have had them for years because it's funny. It's to their own disadvantage. It's to their own disadvantage, but you tell them, oh, you need an implant, but you go see this doctor. Sometimes they just don't go just because of that. I still refer outside the office. We don't do everything, but people keep up the momentum, the more you can capably do in the office. Let's do this, Emmett, in that last few minutes. Let's do some lightning round questions. So
I got to give the E. It's engagement.
Give the E.
The E is engagement because patients really only know how they feel. Like no one goes and says, man, you're going to love the margins that this guy can, nobody knows how to do that. They're like, oh man, he was so kind. He was empathetic. Yeah. So we lay that out. So another person that might want this book is like, if you've hired a clinician, you're like, how do I mentor them? Oh, I want to teach them ACE. That's a good one. If you're kind of growing and you're starting to hit the dark tunnel or entrepreneurship or executive, you want to know how to hire a CFO, all that's in the book. So
awesome. So I love that ACE, availability, capability, and engagement. Awesome. Emotional intelligence. So what is the typical profit margin most DSOs like to achieve? So if you gave a most answer, I know it can be over all the map. If we hold you to a most Emmett answer, what would you say?
I would say at the end of the day, let's say 15%.
15%. That sounds right to me. What's the difference between a DSO and an ASO? I'm actually not familiar with this, but someone had asked that. Is there, and they can add some context. I'm actually not.
Yeah, if they can tell me what the A stands for.
Type that in if they say
maybe associate support organization, or
I mean, there's been plays on these things that I've seen DPO, DDSO, but if you want to type that,
I think a lot of that actually comes from, there's been a lot of branding around DSOs are corporate oriented. So I'm going to call it DLO or, these different names, because I think they want the infrastructure, but not the wrong culture. At the end of the day, I'm like, support's a great culture. Let's just build support.
Our panelists, right? our guest said it stands for administration support organization.
Again, probably a play on just like, hey, we're just doing the back office piece. But again, my goal would be to support the clinician. They need to lead out, and then administrative support. That's fine. Again, support's the critical part, and make sure you're supporting the clinicians.
Awesome. And as a student, I also want to do procedures fast. I just need a healthy environment that provides healthy growth and improvement, not having unrealistic expectations. So CDP is one of our key resources and sponsors, and we're sending stuff out to you. What is the CDP kind of culture about? Let's say if this was a new dentist saying, or a dental student saying, I want to find an organization that supports that. What do you guys do at CDP?
Let's be real transparent what the clinician's saying. It's a little bit bipolar, and that's okay. But it's like, I want complete autonomy. By the way, I want massive mentoring, leadership, support, and help, right? And so for us, the way we've done that is you have a clinical team who does all the mentoring and that piece. And then we're on the back end as a business doing the support, so they don't have to worry about any of that. Patients are coming in the door, et cetera. But that's about having a clinical team. At CDP, we have the Ultimate Dentist Professional Group. It's like our own masterminds. So clinicians are constantly helping one another. They're using their own workplace to chat with each other. So some of that technology is really helpful. Most single dentists never get to see or talk to other groups about other clinicians about what's going on. So that's a benefit you get in a support.
I like that. And, it's kind of like offense and defense in football. So we're going to wrap up. Emmett, show us the book one more time. Your energy is awesome, Emmett. I appreciate all the things you do for us. DSO Secrets by Emmett Scott.
Hey, 99 cents on Kindle 99 right cents. Now.
That is a deal dentists like. So if you're watching in and you need help hiring an associate, just text hire to 215-543-6454. We're super proud of how we bond dentists together, Dentist Job Connect and Dental Nachos. Emmett, thanks for just being an awesome supporter, awesome